Hey everybody. So we are here, 5 o'clock on the dot. I know some people are going to be running late. They're used to me. Well, a lot of people who follow me, they know that usually my lives are really fast, like 5 to 10 minutes at most. This one's going to be a little bit longer because it's a lot meatier. Today we are going deeper. So this is the Creative Entrepreneur Live series, Creative Entrepreneur Unleashed. And I'm going to be going through my 5-step framework that I walk my clients through. As a lot of people ask me, like, what is it that I do? What do I help them with? I'm gonna wave to everyone as you guys come in, and I'm gonna break it down for you guys in the best way that I can, because like I said, it is deep. So hello everyone. So in this series, like I said, I'm going to be breaking down the 5-step framework that I walk my clients through in my programs, especially in the Flourishing Creative Accelerator, which people can start applying to. Well, don't apply yet, listen to what I have to say, but you can apply at the end of the live series. So based on everything that I teach a method called the work method, hence artwork creative. So the work method is made up of 3 different parts. First part is purposeful impact, systems for income, and stepping into influence. Sorry, I have my water here just in case I start choking. So just to repeat that, purposeful impact, systems for income, and stepping into influence. So when I came up with that method, it was based on everything that I learned up to this point. I've been an entrepreneur for 6 years now. And when I first started teaching people, becoming a coach, or emerging into a coach, I'm a coach now. First, I was very much so a teacher, but I was talking a lot about just systems for income. So Instagram marketing strategy, how to get your content out there, content creation, all that stuff. And that's worked into my method now because you do need those things. But the impact and the influence pieces came after I started talking to people and actually coaching people. So I'll get more into that because we're going to talk about the 5 steps. So the 5-step framework breaks down those steps even further and just takes them way deeper. So in the Flourishing Creative Accelerator, we break down everything that we do in the work method, but those 5 steps are unlocking your creative genius, which is probably first and foremost, and one of the deeper levels. That's why I like to start with that. So as you're walking through the rest of the steps, and I'm going to explain what that means today. So as you're walking through the rest of the steps, you understand how that relates and how you relate to the things that I'm teaching you. The next part is envisioning your goals. And when I say that, I'm going to talk about it more. Like I said, it's not goal setting. We're done with goal setting. And then the 3rd step is putting your purpose on a pedestal. 4th is community building with intention. And 5th is creating your scroll stopping offer. Because y'all know you're on Instagram. It's hard to be seen. It's hard to even see your friends on Instagram. I know Shakora was talking about that on one of her lives last week. And it's this Instagram goes so fast. So if you can't get people's attention and make them actually stop to read what it is that you're talking about, it's going to be a problem. So with this whole live series, the thing that I want you guys to know and feel in your bones is that the creative mastery and the embodiment pieces are the key to creating that work method, key to creating influence, impact, and income. So if you don't have the creative mastery piece and the embodiment piece and put those together, it's going to be very difficult. So when I was talking about what I wanted to speak on for this live series, I was very much trying to speak to those of us who are creative minded, those of us who are more right brained, because the world and the way things and systems are set up is very left brainy. It's very systematic. Even with the algorithm that has a system. But if you are going to be a creative and actually make a living out of your business, you have to fuse the 2 together. And that's why I specialize in creatives, because I know how hard that would be. And I know how hard it would be because I did it for 6 years. So just a little bit of background on me, because I know some of you guys are new to me. If you're watching the replay, you might be like, oh, I just met her, and various things that people have followed me from over the past month. But my name is Alana. I am a creative entrepreneur, and I am a coach in creative mastery and embodiment. That's why we're talking about this. So when I started my journey, like I said, it was 6 years ago. When I left my last job, I was like, I really don't want to work for someone anymore. And my main thing, if you followed my old account and still this one, I like to travel. I don't like asking for someone for when I can go on vacation. I want to be able to be like, hey friends, where we're going. And I want to be able to go. So that was like my main stipulation. I have a lot more of them now. But when I decided to leave, I was like, all right, I'm going to try to do this entrepreneur thing, because I knew I wanted to be a business owner, or at least a CEO of some sort, because I always felt real bossy. So I was like, all right, let's see how we can get down with this. And it just so happened when I left my job, I was going to a retreat with other women in business. Not all of them were creative. A lot of us didn't know what we were doing at the time. We were trying to figure it out together. So in doing that, I was talking to some of my mentors, and they were like, just start with something that you're good at, something that's fun for you. And at that time, I had a Disneyland pass for 10 years. I was like, I'm going to be the master at Disneyland. I'm going to tell people how to get around the park quick. I'm going to make itineraries for people. I'm going to give them strategies and systems to get all their fast passes, eat all the food, see all the shows. I was like, I'm going to have this down pat to a system. Lo and behold, that started to become hard. And it wasn't paying me as much as I needed it to, because I think I was selling my guides that I was making for like $7 or something. It was something crazy. And I wasn't selling enough of them to pay all my bills. So one moment. All right, story continues. So that got hard. Then I noticed, like, while I was doing it, because one thing that I did really figure out really quickly was how to build up my Instagram. So with that business, I started that one 5 years ago. I think I built my Instagram to like 6,000 followers in like 3 months. And then people started asking me, how did I do that? And I was like, it's kind of easy. Like, just do this, do this, do this, do this. They're like, oh, that's it? I'm like, yeah, but it takes time. So even though I'm telling people what to do, they're still not doing it because it takes a lot of time. But with that, I was like, okay, I'm kind of good at Instagram. And I actually like having these conversations of helping people get to that next step or grow their audience or do whatever it is that they're trying to do in social media. So I was like, I can teach people this. And I wanted to specialize in women in business in particular. Did all that got hard. And I was taking all these courses. I figured out how to actually put a course together. And the way that I was taught was that I had to do it live. And my coach, she still laughs at me about this, because when I came to her, I was burnt out. She didn't know I was burnt out, but I was. And I had been teaching my course live for 2 years. So each time I had a new class, I'm going on live. I'm like teaching them everything. And because I was doing that, I was burning out my creative flame, and I didn't have time to really go deep with them. It was just strictly Instagram, talking about how to get things done, how to get your likes up, get your engagement up, get your followers up, all those things. But it was like, I have to do something different, because I have turned this vision of mine into a new job. I was not feeling happy. My creative juices weren't flowing. I wasn't feeling like I was connecting at the level that I wanted to. So I was like, look, we got to do something to change this. And that's when I hired my coach, who I will be referring to several times throughout this series. So when I did on that, I started learning how to lean on my community, lean on my coach, because obviously I'm paying for her to tell me what I need to be doing, showing up for the people who were in those communities that she created, showing up for my community in a new way. Hi, Nia. And just really leaning into that. And then that's when quarantine happened. So quarantine started just as soon as I was like, oh, I'm going to launch my new program that she had helped me build. Quarantine happens. I stall on it because I'm like, I can't sell anything in quarantine. Everybody's broke now. Everyone's in the house. Everyone's sad. And actually, quarantine wasn't that sad, because I learned how to lean on community. So me and my friends were having, my cat's doing something weird. We're having like Netflix watch parties. We're doing all this fun stuff. Even though we're in the house, we can't see each other. So that happened. And then I launched my next program. I sold it out, which I was really excited about. But because I had so much time in the house and I had a new system to go along with it, I was like, I can actually coach people now. Like, I can connect. I can listen to them. I can like dig in deep. And if you've been one of my clients, I don't see any of them on here right now. They know I like to go deep. I will sit there and talk to them for as long as they need me to talk to them. And we be in our feelings. When I knew that, I was like, okay, now I have all this self-care stuff from being in the house. I'm taking these elaborate baths. I'm going on walks on the beach. I'm spending a lot of time on my own. I'm reading books. I'm like getting into my zone. I'm like doing all this stuff. I was like, okay, now I have this. If I put it together with my system, what is that going to do? My clients were like, when I was asking them at the end of our last session, which ended earlier this year, I was asking them just like feedback, like testimonial type stuff. Like, what was the thing that you got out of this? Like, if you had to explain this to someone, how would you explain it? They're like, I mean, it's like marketing, but like therapy, but like it's so much more than that. Like I can't even put my finger on it. And when they were saying that, of course, like I was a little confused because I was like, well, like I can't put that into marketing. I can't put that into a caption. Like, how am I supposed to put that thing together for you? So when that happened, I was like, all right, I need to dive a little bit deeper. I need to see what this thing is that I'm creating and the impact that I'm having. So in that moment, I was in what my coach calls a pivot. My other coach calls it evolving. I'm in like this little cluster of, I'm doing something new now, but hey, sassafras. But in that's when I created the Flourishing Creative Accelerator. I was like, okay, this is where I'm seeing the divide, because there are marketing programs and I've been in a ton. Like, if a lot of people, they come to me, they're like, well, I've done these other programs. How is this one different? I've done this and that. How is it different? I'm like, girl, if you've done it, I've probably been in it like since the beginning of time. I don't know how many courses I have, but at this point, I would say I don't even want to say the amount I've invested in marketing courses, but in that, I was finding that I was doing those things. I'm taking all the steps. I'm like getting through the coursework. My girls in here who are in the coaching group with me, they know I'm the first one to blow through some coursework. I'll be like, okay, done. What's next? So I'm getting through everything. I'm putting all the steps together, but it still wasn't hitting. I'm still like burning out. I'm still feeling like, what am I missing? What is this next thing that I need? But then I would shift over into my right brain self. I start drawing, I start meditating, I start learning about crystals, doing that. During quarantine, I actually got certified as a prosperity energy healer just for the fun of it, because I was in a woo-woo course, because I was like, if I need to make another system, another web page, another landing page, another email, whatever, I was like, I can't. So I like completely checked out, went into this whole woo-woo space where we're learning spirituality, meditation, like going deep, journaling, like all this other stuff. I was like, okay, this is where it comes together. I need to be the happy space in the middle for people like myself and the people who are going to come after me. So that's where Flourishing Creative Accelerator came in. So with that, like I said in the beginning, the thing that I want to portray in this live series is the importance of the creative mastery with the embodiment piece. So you might be like, Alana, what the hell is creative mastery? So when I'm speaking of creative mastery, I'm thinking of this kind of like a legal document, you know, like at the beginning where they say like what each term means for different things as they go through. And I've been looking at a lot of documents for the production company. That's the first thing that came to mind. So with creative mastery, it's exercising your creative genius zone. And I'm going to speak on this a little bit later, but it really is like exercising. So there are different muscles that you need to flex while you're in business, but there are some that a lot of people don't talk about. So I believe creative mastery is one of them. Self-awareness is another one. Emotional intelligence is another one. The list goes on. But in this program, we talk about all the other ones because they go along with the embodiment piece. But creative mastery is really just that awareness of your purpose and putting strategy on it, like really going ham for it and putting it into motion. So, and that's going to come in with embodiment also. But creative mastery doesn't mean that you're not already a creative, that because I believe everyone's a creator in their own right, that you're not already really good, some sort of master at your craft. But it's really about folding that creativity into a proven system that energizes you, allows you more free time to actually be creative. So you're not just stuck in the left brain space. You actually like can go out and have fun, rest, and like refuel yourself. But then also do that and do it to the best of your ability. So hold on. It, in short, ensures that you're the best and you're doing the best things to get the results that you want. All right, now embodiment. And I didn't know that people didn't know what embodiment meant until I was talking to my best friend, and I was reading something to her and she was like, embodiment, what does that mean? I was like, I'm an embodiment coach. Like, how do you not know what this means? Anywho, that's neither here nor there. So embodiment, when I'm speaking on it, is not mindset. Mindset's a piece of the puzzle, but it is not mindset. I am not a mindset coach. So when I'm speaking about embodiment, it's the awareness of your purpose and strategically putting it into motion. So in layman's terms, embodiment, when I'm talking about it, is performance. So it's your performance, not only with your mindset and how you're showing up for yourself, it's how you're talking to yourself. It's the performance in terms of the big picture. So stepping into your highest self, and I know these are a lot of big terms, but stepping into your highest self and putting you on the path to fulfilling your potential. So I know I said a lot right there. And like I told you, I promised you I was going to break it down. So when I'm putting these things together in my programs, in my intensives, in any services that I do, I'm really trying to build community around this idea that creatives do not have to be starving artists. We do not have to sell ourselves short for the things that we have mastered over time. We really need to come together as a community, and especially with women, because I don't like when people are feeling like that lack mindset, like, oh, she's doing it, I can't do it. Like, y'all can both do it. And if you get together and really like learn from each other, like, even better, y'all will grow even faster. So what we're doing here over the course of this week, so we're creating a little creative garden. I've been getting really into plants lately, and first thing that came to mind when I was thinking of how to explain this is a little garden. We're going to water the left brain stuff, we're going to water the right brain stuff, and when you look at it from afar, it's going to make a very pretty picture. So why does this matter? And this, we're going to go into left brain right here. So when you're thinking about Instagram, and people have very differing opinions on Instagram. Most people are like, I am over Instagram. It's like that necessary evil that everyone has to have in their business. And it is necessary because stats for 2022, I did some research today. So stats, 7 out of 10 businesses nowadays, especially going into 2022, are on Instagram. If you don't want to be here, that is your choice, but it will make things a little bit easier for you. So 90% of users follow businesses on Instagram. So you can probably think of a few that you follow, whether they're like established businesses, like big brands, or small businesses. Like I see a lot of my friends in here. If anybody follows one of us, you probably in that category. The best interaction rates on all social platforms are on Instagram, because Instagram is very much user created, and we have like this back and forth. We have a lot of ways to talk to each other. And when I read that stat, I was like, well, TikTok is kind of really interactive, but TikTok, I notice, is very much so lots of comments. The person who created the content doesn't necessarily interact as much, and the DMs aren't as user friendly over there. Usually when I'm on TikTok, I'm just sending videos to my cousin or my best friend, like, hey, this is funny, look at this. Oh, this look good, let's make this. So it's not really that back and forth that you can have when you're on Instagram. 80% of users on Instagram decide that they are going to buy something by seeing something on Instagram. 83% find new products and services on Instagram. And I was like, that's really high. But then when I was thinking about it, I was like, anytime I'm going to a restaurant, first thing I do is look up the menu. Second thing I do is go on Yelp. Third thing I do is go on Instagram to see what people are eating, what people are drinking, what the vibe is like, what the restaurant's energy is like. And that's one thing that if you do it really well on Instagram, you can convey that energy. You can convey the energy of a space. You can convey the energy of a person. You can convey the energy of a brand. Instagram is good for all those things. Last things last, and I thought this one was interesting. But 47% of the millennial audience, which I believe is a lot of our audiences, at least the people that I'm seeing on here, the millennial audience, we use Instagram as a messaging app. So that's a part of that interaction piece. We're not only on here like talking and liking and putting stuff in our stories, we're actually in our DMs, and stories really drove that interaction factor up, because when you're responding to someone's story, it goes straight to their DM. So that's like first piece of interaction. And I'm going to talk about this more tomorrow when I talk about algorithm hacks. But with that said, I want to put those stats out there so y'all know that this platform is still very important until it's not anymore. And we know how things go, but the foundational pieces of the things that I teach my clients, which I want to tell you guys about, is that no matter where you are, no matter where you show up, even if you're in a room live with people, if you're on Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, wherever the case may be, the way that you show up is internal and external. And it's extremely important to do both of those things. So with today, I'm going to go over the first 2 of the 5 pieces because I don't want to talk too long. Y'all know I don't really do long lives, and we're already at 20 minutes. So first part is unlocking your creative genius. And if you like to read, I know my girls are on here, but you guys have probably read this book. This is a book that I've been talking about for years. It was one of the first steps in my creative journey of being an entrepreneur and really like realizing that self-awareness was a thing. I think as an only child, I've always been kind of self-aware, but it's different being self-aware and like actually analyzing that self. So it's like, okay, I'm feeling this way. Why am I feeling that way? But then going that step deeper, like, oh, I feel this way. And this is a pattern now that I'm seeing. So that book is The Great Leap, or The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. You can buy it on Amazon. It's a really thin book. You could probably read it in a day or get the audiobook, but it's an amazing book to have on hand. And it talks about limiting beliefs. So with unlocking your self-awareness, unlocking your creative genius, the first step is self-awareness. So when I was getting certified as a prosperity energy healer, we were learning how to do these things called transmutation meditations, which I'm so excited to fold into the Flourishing Creative Accelerator. It's going to be fun because they are meditations that you can do on your own. You can do them as often as you want to, but they take you into your subconscious because we put you like in a theta space that you go into your subconscious, and then it's like we take you on a journey through it. So however it comes up to you, because it's going to be different for everybody, but you really do uncover different blocks or the way you're feeling about something in a very abstract right brain kind of way. But then when we snap you out of it, you're like, I kind of get this now. I get why this is so important. But we talk about that in detail in the accelerator. So when you're doing this, or when you're just becoming more self-aware, you're much more quick to be able to dodge the blocks that are coming for you. So when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about when I got my PlayStation, the first game that I had was Frogger. So in Frogger, you're standing on the side of the street, and when you first start playing, you just jump into the street and you're like, oh shit, that was a truck. And then you're like, all right, maybe I should take my time and actually look at the board before I jump again. So next time you might get like 2 lanes, 3 lanes if you're quick. Then you get hit by something else because then you see, oh, these things are moving at different speeds. Then you finally get to the other side of the board. You're like, whew, okay. Then when you go to the next level, you are a lot more spatially aware, at least. So when you're thinking about your self-awareness in terms of how you're showing up as an entrepreneur, you have to know and be readily ready for those blocks that are going to come up. And I just did a post like a couple days ago about fear and how even when I go live, I still get nervous. When I post things, I still get scared. When I drop new programs, I get scared. This whole thing, when I had started 6 years ago, just starting was scary. If I had known that it was going to be scary the whole time, I probably would have been like, whew, I wish somebody would have told me this. But that's why I'm here to tell y'all. It's scary. But it's not scary in the sense that it can't be done. So this is when self-awareness comes into play, like knowing your creative blocks, knowing the things that will set you off. I really don't like the word trigger because I feel like you can choose to respond how you want to, but the things that usually do set you off and knowing how to respond to those and making it a habit. So like I was saying, how creative mastery is a muscle, self-awareness is a muscle. So there will be days, even still, I'll wake up and I'll be like, I don't want to do that today. I don't want to do anything today. I don't want to do this live today. I wanted to do this live today because I was excited. But there are days when I'm just like, I don't want to do anything today. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes you have to do nothing because that's a part of self-awareness. That's a part of knowing your boundaries, knowing your energetic limits. And this also goes into human design. I know my human design girls are in there. We got different kinds of energy. So if you decide to apply for Flourishing Creative Accelerator and I ask ask you your birth time and where you were born, do not be surprised, because I want to know all your things. But going into that, knowing your energy and really being aware of what that looks like for you is something that is going to help you live with intention. It's going to help you take inspired action, and it's going to help you know when you are not acting in alignment with the vibe of what you're trying to attract, which goes to show with every law of the universe, especially law of attraction, law of abundance, all the laws. I forgot all the rest of them. It's like 12 of them, y'all, or like 16. I can't remember all of those, but it goes along with a lot of them. You can research that in your own time. So in short, this is taking control of your own thoughts. So when you're unlocking your creative genius, this is the first step that we go through of being self-aware, realizing where your blocks lie and seeing those patterns and just owning them, not shying away from them, just being like, this is something about myself. This is something that maybe it's something you can change. Maybe it's something that you like and you want to explore more, but just having that self-awareness and really going into that mastery of what it means to be a creative. Because if you don't know what you're good at or what you're bad at or where you're not seeing the full picture, that's going to eventually be a block and it's going to slap you in the face. So part 2, going with that, because we're building upon it, is envisioning your goals. And the word envisioning is really just visualizing future possibilities. And when I'm talking about envisioning your goals, I'm not talking about goal setting. We are talking about taking your goals and moving the post forward. So when you're thinking about football and they're moving down that field, that's what we are talking about. I used to be on drill team, so we had lots of cheers about that. So there was this thing that we used to do in my first mastermind group that I was in. And this is something you can try on. It's not for everybody, but I liked it. And I'm going to tell you why I liked it. So it was called talking as if. So we would sit with each other and we would lay out our goals, like in 10 years from now, like, what do you see yourself doing? Like, what are you doing on the weekends? What do you have a family? What are you doing with your friends? Da, 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 da. And then we would talk to each other for the rest of the day as if that was already the case. So my whole things, I love water. I'm a Pisces. I love boats. So I would always talk to my friends and be like, yeah, I'm like a little bit tired today. We just got off the boat from yesterday. We were on there all day. Like, we had mimosas, we had brunch. This is what we ate. And we would go into detail, but it was really us speaking that into existence and aligning with it. And I remember ever since then, before then, I hadn't been getting on boats that much. I'd always liked boats, but I remember after that, my friends were like, Alana, are you on another boat? And I'm like, yeah, we talked about this. They're like, yeah, and you're on a lot of them. And it was like the things that we talked about showed up in completely different ways. Like, my best friend's sister randomly got a boat this summer. So we were on boats all summer. I'm like in the desert getting burnt up on these lakes, having a joyride. But it was like, it's crazy how I won't say it's crazy. It's amazingly normal. It's amazingly normal how things show up that you really speak about and envision and say, okay, this is what future self has. Let me align with that energy now. Talk about it now. Tell people that that's something that I want for myself now. And you'd be surprised. Like, if I wasn't talking about boats all the time, people wouldn't think, oh, I need to invite Alana to this boat thing. Like, just think about ways that you can start doing that. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But when you're thinking about your future self and creating your goals and moving that goalpost forward, this is about applying, pivoting, and evolving. So when you are deciding that a goal is something that you want to do, you can say goals are something that you want, but there really is growth that's required to hit those goals. So you might say, I want to do XYZ from January to December for the rest of the year. But you have to factor in that you might not be ready for that level. You might have to do some growing in between then. So you have to be willing to put yourself out there and really hit the ceiling hard and make those hard fails. That's the stuff I was talking about that's a little scary. You got to go out there, be willing to fail, be willing to show up and show that you're committed to that thing, get the feedback that you need, and then go forward again. So this is something that I used to talk about in my old program. It's something that the Air Force uses, and it's called Ooda Loops. I forgot what Ooda stood for, but I can explain it. It's OODA. So when they're in the air, they're flying, they got to react fast. So I think the first O was observe. So they're observing whatever it is that they need to do. They're seeing where whatever is going, like if it's a moving target, whatever the case may be, they have to react and they have to adjust really quickly. I know the A was adjust, but this is the same thing with entrepreneurship, with your marketing, especially. If you try something, it fails, okay, we got to get back up and keep going. But that comes with the self-awareness. So if you're not self-aware enough to not sit in that failure and be like, this is not my fault, this is just something that I tried, it didn't work, let's try something new, then you're going to just be stuck in that instance. You're just going to be like, well, I guess I'm burnt out again because I let my feelings get the best of me. And sometimes feelings will get the best of you, but knowing when to address those feelings and when to sit with them and like deal with them versus letting them take over you, that's a completely different state of mind. So when you're moving forward and you're setting these goals, you're growing into your goals, which is extremely important. Community, feedback, and accountability are like priceless. Like if I didn't have my text message groups with my friends and we're cheering each other on and being like, yes, you made your landing page. Yes, you put the thing out. Yes, you went live. If we weren't doing all that, it would feel very lonely. It would be like, okay, yay me. But also getting feedback from someone, having a coach, having a mentor, having people who have done the things that you've done before, like I said, is priceless. And when you're starting your business or you've been in entrepreneurship and you've like finagled it for X amount of years and you think you can just keep finagling it, sometimes you just got to sit down with yourself and be like, girl, maybe we should invest in something and speed this process up, because if we still finagling 3 years from now, maybe we should just call it quits. So that's a hard truth that some people don't like to hear, but I think that it really is necessary. I've noticed the things that I've invested in that I was, for lack of a better word, finagling with for a while. Once I finally invested in it, even if it was an investment I wasn't sure I was ready to make, I was glad that I did, because at least it put me like a few months ahead of time, ahead of schedule, had I just Googled my ass off all day, because that's not fun and I value my freedom. So when you're putting that into action, you really want to get feedback immediately, get feedback quickly. And if you haven't already, I have a link in my bio to download the workbook that goes along with this series, and it gives you action steps. So if you're like, Alana, this is a lot, the book breaks it down a lot more succinctly. This is like a supplement to the book. So when you're in the book, it has action steps for you to take. And if you claim you're like committed to this, you really want to learn this, you want to dive into it, you could go ahead and take at least one of them action steps. And I promise you, if you make it a habit, it will put you a little bit forward, and you can get that for the free. So when you're doing that, and I'll know if you did it because in the book it says to tag me if you did it. So when you're doing that, tag me in whatever it is that you're doing. I'm going to be going over, like I said, I want to keep this short. I'm already at 30 minutes. I'm going to be going over the rest of the 5 steps tomorrow. So steps 3, 4, and 5. And then at the end of it, we're going to put it all together. I'll show you how like systematically it works. I know right now it's a little high level because we haven't like broken it down enough, but I really wanted to go over the terms today and go over like the foundational steps, because the self-awareness and really like putting motion, putting action, putting performance behind your goals is what actually makes you hit goals. And it's funny, I went to talk about this because I saw that my coach actually did a live. I haven't watched it yet, but she did a live yesterday talking about you don't need no other goal setting courses or workshops or whatever. I forgot what the exact title was. I was like, ain't that something? That's exactly what I'm about to talk about tomorrow. Because you can set your goals. You can set goals all day. But if you don't have the performance behind them and you keep trying to grow into the goal, like even if you don't hit it the first time, it just might be a growth period for you. And then when you grow into it, who knows? You might triple the goal by the end of the year just because you grew into it and allowed yourself that space. So I'm going to end it there. I don't want to have these be too long, but thank you all for coming. And I will see you guys at the same time tomorrow. All right. Bye.